The real reason the middle class can never get ahead, meet James. He is 35 years old, lives in Ohio, works a stable office job, earns around $55,000 a year, pays his bills on time, puts a little money aside every single month, and by every definition, does everything right. But here's the thing. Every year, James feels like he is falling further behind. Groceries that used to cost him $200 a month now cost $320. His rent has gone up twice in 3 years. The small amount he saves in his bank account feels like it is shrinking rather than growing. And the most frustrating part? He cannot figure out why. He is not being reckless. He is not overspending. He is doing everything he was taught to do. So what is going wrong? Today we are going to answer that exact question. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you are going to see the financial system in a completely different way. Here's the hard truth that nobody talks about openly. The middle class is falling behind, not because of bad habits or poor decisions, but because of something much bigger, something that is built into the very foundation of our economic system. And it starts with one word: inflation. Inflation simply means that the prices of things go up over time. A coffee that cost you $2 10 years ago now costs $5. A house that was worth $200,000 is now worth $450,000. And while most people understand inflation on a surface level, very few understand why it keeps happening and why it never really stops. To understand this, you need to understand debt. Right now, global government debt has exploded to over $111 trillion. That is not a typo. $111 trillion. And here's the important part. When a government owes that much money, it cannot afford for the economy to slow down. It needs prices to keep going up. It needs wages to keep rising. It needs more tax money coming in, because if everything slows down or prices start falling, the entire system starts cracking under the weight of all that debt. Think of it this way. Imagine you have a $300,000 mortgage and you earn $100,000 a year. You can comfortably make your payments. Now imagine your income drops to $70,000. Suddenly those same payments feel crushing, but if your income grows to $150,000, those payments feel easy. That is exactly how governments think about their debt. They need the economy to keep growing and prices to keep inflating so that their massive debt becomes easier to manage over time. And that is why inflation is not an accident. It is by design. To keep this whole machine running, governments and central banks have one very powerful tool at their disposal: printing money. When the economy slows down or a crisis hits, they simply create more money. We saw this happen during COVID. We saw it happen during the 2008 financial crisis. And every single time they print more money, there is more currency circulating in the system. When there is more money chasing the same amount of goods and services, prices go up. That is inflation in its simplest form. Now think about what this means for James. He saves $500 every month, puts it in a bank savings account, earning maybe 1% to 2% interest per year, and feels responsible for doing so. But if inflation is running at 4% or 5%, and his savings are actually losing purchasing power every single year, he is not getting ahead. He is slowly falling behind while feeling like he is doing the right thing. And this is not just James's story. This is the story of millions of middle-class families across America and Europe who were taught that saving money in a bank is the safe and responsible thing to do. Meanwhile, the wealthy are doing something completely different. They are putting their money into assets, stocks, real estate, gold, and businesses that grow in value alongside or faster than inflation. While James's savings are losing value, someone else's investments are quietly compounding and growing year after year. So why does the middle class keep making the same financial mistakes generation after generation? The first mistake is keeping too much money in cash. As James puts $500 away every month feeling proud and responsible, but with inflation running higher than his savings interest rate, that money is worth less in real terms every single year. It feels safe, but it is one of the slowest financial traps a person can fall into. The second mistake is avoiding the stock market out of fear. James grew up watching markets crash in 2008 and during COVID, and made a mental note that the stock market is dangerous and only for wealthy people. But every single time the market crashed throughout history, it eventually recovered and went on to reach new all-time highs. The people who lost money permanently were the ones who panicked and sold. The third mistake is panic selling. When bad news hits, people rush to sell out of pure emotion. When Facebook's Cambridge Analytica scandal broke in 2018, The stock dropped nearly 18% in just 10 days as investors panicked, but after that, the stock went on to rise by more than 200%. The people who stayed patient multiplied their money several times over, while those who panicked locked in their losses forever. Now, here is something that makes this entire situation even more unsettling. It is not just government debt that has been exploding. Mortgage debt, auto loan debt, credit card debt, and student loan debt have all been shooting up at the same time. And the global money supply, the total amount of money in existence, has been growing at an accelerating pace for decades. More money in circulation means each individual dollar in your pocket is worth a little less than it was before. This is not a conspiracy theory. It is a mathematical reality. And it is the invisible force that has been quietly working against James and millions of people just like him, their entire lives without them ever fully understanding why. The wealthy are not getting richer simply because they work harder. They are getting richer because they understand this system and position their money accordingly. They own assets that inflate in value as more money is printed. They stay invested through market crashes while everyone else panics, and they think in decades rather than days. So let us bring this all back to James. He is not falling behind because he is lazy or irresponsible. He is falling behind because nobody ever taught him how the system actually works. He was handed a set of rules: save money, work hard, be responsible, without ever being shown the bigger game being played all around him. And that is the real tragedy of the middle class. Not a lack of effort, not a lack of intention, but a lack of information at the most critical financial moments of their lives. The system is designed to keep inflating forward. The debt bubble keeps expanding, money keeps getting printed, and the gap between those who understand how to position themselves and those who do not keeps growing wider every single year. The moment you understand why inflation never stops, why your savings account is quietly working against you, and why the rules you were handed were never the complete picture, that is the moment everything begins to change. The system may not have been designed with James in mind, but now James knows the rules, and once you know the rules, everything changes.